China has been continuously rehearsing the occupation of Taiwan. Military experts claim that these exercises are the first time China has openly simulated a full-scale attack. The day when the exercise becomes a war is inevitably approaching. Is Taiwan ready to repel an invasion and sustain a long-lasting resistance? Some experts argue that Taiwan is a tough cookie and will be able to withstand the pressure of the Chinese army until the Allies come to the rescue. However, we've identified the weapons to help Taiwan disrupt China's plans, so let's dive in. As a reminder, there are two Chinas in the world: the People's Republic of China, ruled by communists, and the Democratic Republic of China on the island of Taiwan and the islands around it. Beijing refers to history, considering Taiwan to be its own. However, Taipei refers to the same history, claiming the only time they were under the regime of the People's Republic of China was from 1945 to 1949, and asserting their independence ever since. By the way, what do the people of Taiwan actually think? The answer is obvious. Do you support their decision? Then press that like button. The Taiwan Strait is a sea highway that separates China and Taiwan and connects the South China Sea and the East China Sea. It is here that events will now unfold. The Chinese government is confident that sooner or later it will take control of the island. Sometimes they talk about peaceful reunification, but China does not rule out the use of force. The military doctrine for the seizure of Taiwan is called JFSO, Joint Firepower Strike Operation. The JFSO is the Bible of every soldier in the Chinese army and is on the bedside table of every member of the Chinese Communist Party leadership. It is Xi Jinping's dream, which will make him a hero or a pariah. If successful, China will displace the United States and become a hegemon in the Indo-Pacific region. Victory will make Beijing a maritime power, and Xi Jinping will become the king of the world. He will surpass Mao and even Sun Tzu himself. Yes, some people dream in those terms. Moreover, the success of the JFSO will make it easier for the communists to gain global supremacy in the future. This means that the question of whether China will attack Taiwan is no longer on the table. Only two questions remain: when and how it will happen. So, when? The window of opportunity is opened for Beijing. Firstly, the United States is busy with the Ukraine war. At the same time, the US government is trying to resolve the conflict in the Gaza Strip and contain North Korea's militarism. Secondly, the Chinese army is able to partially disguise a large-scale military buildup with the help of military exercises. Thirdly, the summer months are the best time to launch an invasion of Taiwan because of favorable tidal conditions in the Taiwan Strait. Finally, the fourth is that China's army is so superior to Taiwan's that the war's outcome is obvious. You see, China has the most significant armed forces in the world regarding the number of active military personnel, more than 2 million active soldiers. Taiwan has 11 times less, and China's military budget is almost 12 times larger, $225 billion versus $19 billion. China has a huge fleet of 86 warships, 59 submarines, and 2 aircraft carriers, while Taiwan has 26 warships, 4 submarines, and 0 aircraft carriers. The Chinese Air Force has more than 2,921 military aircraft, including the J-20. Taiwan has 744 aircraft in its arsenal. In China's favor, the ratio of helicopters is 1,355 to 237. China has 9,550 self-propelled artillery units compared to Taiwan's 2,093. Now, we come to the most exciting part: how? Taiwan is counting on the support of its allies in the same way, but Beijing understands this, so it has developed a unique invasion tactic. According to Ian Easton, American security policy analyst, Chinese strategists expect to break Taiwan's resistance within 15 days of the start of the military operation. In this period, as the Chinese army believes, Taiwan's allies, primarily the United States and Japan, will not have time to organize full military support for the Taiwanese army. At first, China's JFSO doctrine provides for intensive attacks on Taiwan with short and medium-range cruise and ballistic missiles. This will be the beginning of the war. These strikes aim to destroy the enemy's coastal artillery and naval forces, but China will primarily target Taiwan's air defense and air bases. According to the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey, in 2023, Beijing had 162 to 216 short-range ballistic missile launchers, 87 to 96 medium-range ballistic missile launchers, 78 to 96 ground-launched cruise missile launchers, and 216 intermediate-range ballistic missile launchers. The arsenal of missiles is unknown, but given the capabilities of China's industry, we can talk about thousands of missiles. How will Taiwan respond? Taiwan's long-range early warning radar and space warning can detect missile launches within seconds, and it also has a very impressive command and control system, said Tony Hu. However, it is China's ballistic missiles that pose the greatest danger. The fact is that Taiwan is armed with only 9 batteries of Patriot PAC-3 air defense systems that can shoot down ballistic targets. They cover the capital city of Taipei, the port of Kaohsiung, and other vital facilities and military bases. 9 batteries means 72 launchers. Not a lot, because Taiwan's indigenous Skybow 2 or Tiankung 2 systems have modest capabilities against ballistic missiles. However, since 2014, new Skybow 3 or Tiankung 3 air defense systems, which can also intercept ballistic targets, have been gradually introduced. Skybow 3 is considered a copy of the American Patriot system, but in this case, the copy surpasses the original. At some point, the United States allowed Raytheon, the company that makes the Patriot, to transfer most of the technology to Taiwan. However, the process of re-equipping with new systems is not yet complete. The Taiwanese army has no more than 12 Skybow 3 batteries. That means 96 more launchers capable of destroying ballistic targets. As you can see, this is much less than China's capabilities, because to guarantee the destruction of one target, it is often necessary to launch 2 to 3 anti-missiles. Brian Clark says this: "As we've seen in Ukraine, missile defense can be effective, but it is quickly depleted even in a relatively small conflict. This means that Taiwan has too few air defense systems to counter China's growing stockpile of ballistic and cruise missiles. This means that within a few days, China will have the air superiority it needs to conduct a ground operation on the main island." David Sachs, Asia Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, states, "The invasion of Taiwan was the most complex military operation in modern history." However, this does not apply to the Taiwanese islands located next to the Chinese coast. They will be the first to come under attack from dozens or hundreds of Chinese MLRS, and then an airborne assault will land there. Therefore, resistance will be broken during the military operation's first hours. At that time, the Chinese army will concentrate its forces on the main bridgehead immediately adjacent to Taipei. The paratroopers will have to capture the capital and achieve the removal, dissolution, or surrender of the government of the Republic of China. But to win on China's main island, they need at least a 3-to-1 advantage in manpower. As we can see, the numbers are on China's side. However, even with China's overwhelming advantage, it is tough to achieve a 3-to-1 ratio. The point is that Taiwan has another ally who is always there for it. It is the island's geographical location and the landscape of its coastline. The island has few suitable beaches for landing, and 32,000 6th Taiwanese Army Corps soldiers defending a bridgehead near Taipei. Defensive positions are prepared. Another problem for China is that the Chinese army only has 70 amphibious assault ships of various types capable of transporting approximately 20,000 troops at a time. 20,000 attackers on a foothold against 32,000 defenders in prepared positions. The result of this adventure is obvious. By the time the next batch of soldiers arrives, the Chinese paratroopers pressed to the sea will quickly run out of steam. But China's cunning JFSO doctrine foresees this course of events. Therefore, the Chinese army will use ordinary civilian ships along with amphibious assault ships to deliver troops to Taiwan. China's communist government spent years developing legal and regulatory requirements to ensure the availability of these vessels in times of war. It authorized the creation of the National Defense Transportation Support Force using civilian vessels. Captain Tom Shugart assessed the usefulness of this civilian maritime capability in an invasion scenario. Civilian vessels are capable of transporting over 300,000 troops and equipment. As of 2019, almost 4,000 vessels with a displacement of 1,000 tons or more are flying the flag of the PRC. This is a real armada. Even if half of these vessels reach the beaches of Taiwan, it will give the Chinese army the necessary 3-to-1 advantage. In a few days, peaceful Taipei will become a besieged fortress with no chance of survival. However, China's armada of civilian ships is poorly protected, which is good news for Taiwan. Taiwan's defense forces simply do not have the means to search for and detect thousands of ships and ferries or launch anti-ship missiles to destroy them. What should Taiwan do? The best means against an armada of poorly protected ships are surface drones. The experience of the war in Ukraine shows that surface drones are the best way to conduct asymmetric warfare. In a few months, the Ukrainian army effectively neutralized the Russian Black Sea Fleet, sinking 30% of its ships. At the same time, Ukraine does not have a single warship. Ukrainians do not publicize technical details about drones, but here's the lesson we have learned. Naval drones have different specializations and tactics. The maneuverable models are 18 feet long and almost 5 feet wide, allowing them to carry up to 450 pounds of explosives. They are challenging to detect because modern detection equipment is not adapted for such purposes. They are difficult to hit because the hull is only 20 inches above the surface. Their task is to locate and then attack the ship under heavy fire. The presence of a camera on board makes it possible not only to record, but also to control the drone remotely. The drone communicates with the operator either through a repeater or directly via satellite. In addition to attacks, such drones can perform surveillance, reconnaissance, patrolling, search and rescue operations, mine countermeasures, and other combat missions. The range of such drones is about 500 miles with a 60-hour autonomy. This means that a flock of such drones can cross the Taiwan Strait and attack Chinese ships while they are still loading their troops. Larger models can carry almost 2,000 pounds of explosives. They can be used against port infrastructure. And just recently, the Ukrainians used a large maritime drone for the first time with an MLRS mounted with 6 122 caliber rockets. This is genuinely a crazy evolution of marine drones. No army in the world has yet developed tactics to counter such threats. China hasn't either. But the Taiwanese army has 0 marine drones. Fortunately, Taiwan has seen Ukraine successfully use marine drones to attack Russian warships and disrupt their naval operations. Therefore, the National Chongshan National Institute of Science and Technology has already developed an uncrewed boat equipped with video transmission capabilities and functions such as radio frequency simulators, interference modeling systems, flamethrowers, and radar signal reflectors. Production of the 2 prototypes is expected to begin in 2026. But will Taiwan be in time? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, take a look at our video about sea drones that have become a major danger for the US fleet in the Red Sea.